Hello, hola, everybody. Bienvenidos. Welcome to Flow con Florido. Hoy tenemos un invitado muy especial. Today we have a special guest. His name is Alex Brown. He's gonna talk about his life and he's gonna let us know what is his new challenge, projects, and of course, how that can help our Hispanic community here in South Carolina, Hilton Head Island. Welcome, Mr. Alex.
Yes. Afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yeah.
That's right.
So, let me just tell you a little bit about me for those that don't know. I'm a fifth generational native islander of Gullah descent. I was born and raised here. My great-great-grandfather was actually enslaved here on Hilton Head.
Oh.
He fought in the Civil War and was able to purchase property here on Hilton Head. And that's where our family still resides here today. Okay?
Wow, that's really...
So 5 generations in.
5 generations.
Yeah.
Bueno, pues yo les cuento rápidamente en español. Alex Brown es nuestro invitado especial aquí en Carolina del Sur, en una bella isla que se llama Hilton Head, donde él nos cuenta que precisamente su familia pertenece a la comunidad Gala. La comunidad Gala, él nos va a explicar, pero básicamente es la comunidad que primero habitó esta área y fueron esclavos y luego tuvieron la oportunidad de comprar propiedad. Can you tell us a little bit about that history? Because I believe not everyone knows about. So the Gala community was basically the first one, right? The community that
yes.
started here, right?
There's a tremendous American history story here around the settlement of Mitchellville, which was the first freedmen's town in America before the Civil War ended, okay? And at that time, Hilton Head was mainly occupied by Africans, people of color, okay? So after Mitchellville settlement, folks were able to purchase additional land here on Hilton Head. So you had a lot of folks move into what we now call the historic Gullah neighborhoods, okay? And, sort of hard to imagine, but this was before bridge, before electricity, right? So folks were really taking advantage of, what the land had to offer as far as commerce is concerned. So that's farming. We're close to the waterways, so fishing and that sort of thing. So that was really the way of life here on Hilton Head before development started in the 50s.
Incredible. Bueno, pues parte de esa gran historia de cómo se desarrolló la isla de Hilton Head antes de tener un puente, antes de tener electricidad. Pues aquí llegaron la comunidad, por supuesto, Gala, que era una comunidad morena, que fueron esclavos y empezaron a desarrollar y vivían ¿de qué? De la pesca y la agricultura. Y eso fue antes, por supuesto, de la guerra civil que se vivió aquí en los Estados Unidos. And so now 5 generations after, but how your family finally, when the war finished and become free, the first generation that had the opportunity to have property, what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, obviously they were able to do that because the Union won the war, okay? So a lot of the plantation owners had fled the area, okay? So the government was selling property on Hilton Head. And because folks had served in the war, okay, so they had made money there, because of Mitchellville, folks were able to participate in commerce. The soldiers were here, so they needed goods and services and that sort of thing. So the Africans that were now freed were those that were providing those services. So they were able to make money, okay? And they really had a vision about that. They were making money, but they understood that the key to freedom and the key to sustainability and the key to generational wealth was the land.
The land.
Okay, so that's why they were so aggressive in buying land here on Hilton Head. And, obviously things have changed, okay? We're not farming and fishing anymore, but the land is still here, and the land is still very important for sustainability, okay?
Yeah, a lot of experts still saying land is is one of the best investments, for example.
Sure, absolutely,
That's right.
Absolutely, yeah. Dr. Campbell, who was one of the elders of the Gullah community, always says that, we're not farming and fishing land anymore, but there's new crop here on Hilton Head. Hilton Head is world renowned for our beaches, our golf courses, and now even history, you know, cultural and arts, right? So we've got a lot of people coming to Hilton Head that want to experience this little gym that we have here. And we've been able to provide economic opportunities with that, with some of the larger industry as far as the resorts, and most recently here with short-term rentals and whatnot. But at the end of the day, you know, it's really, you know, my objective and in the seat that I hold, that we have a very diverse economic opportunity here on Hilton Head. Okay, you know, those that are living here and wanting to get into some type of business here. Okay, they should have the equal opportunity to do that. Yeah.
What important, and also we know that Hilton Head was picked as one of the favorite places to come with a family in the United States.
Number one destination in the continental. Yes, we've been that for the last 6 years, I think. Yeah. So obviously, we're doing a lot of good things here on Hilton Head, and again, you know, they always say that a rising tide should float all boats, right? I'm happy to know that they're sort of the bigger industries, the hotels and the resorts that are taking advantage of Hilton Head's fame, but also feel like, you know, us little people should be able to take advantage of it as well.
Correct. Bueno, pues miren todo lo que hemos venido aprendiendo de lo que ha sido este lugar. Primero, sin conexión con el continente porque es una isla. Segundo, pues el desarrollo de la comunidad gala, de donde viene Alex. Y tercero, pues ya el desarrollo de cómo hoy es catalogada el primer destino favorito de la familia estadounidense para pasar vacaciones, donde por supuesto hay mucha industria de turismo y oportunidades. Así que hoy por supuesto ya los desafíos son diferentes, son distintos, hay una diversidad, como muy bien lo explica Alex, de muchas personas que vienen de todas partes del mundo. And also we know people from all around the world visit Hilton Head every year.
That's right.
And we have for sure an important Hispanic community.
Sure.
That's right. Y tenemos, pues, por supuesto, un número muy importante de la comunidad hispana que le da vida a este lugar. So, you were born here, raised here, and now you become a leader of the community.
Yes, yes.
Where do you found that passion?
Yeah, well, you know, obviously living here all my life, I've seen a lot of things happen, right? A lot of change, okay? You know, some good, and some not so good, right? So as you see things happening over your lifetime, and we all go through phases, right? You know, as a young lad, you're not really paying as much attention to it, but then as you get older and you're participating in, you know, what is happening around you, you know, some of us want to get involved to sort of shape the future, right? And I wanted to make sure that all voices were heard when I decided to run, okay? And, you know, I get it, our population, our demographic mix on Hilton Head obviously has changed, okay? Like I said before the bridge, the majority of the folks that were on Hilton Head were African Americans, okay? And today, the African American population on Hilton Head is about 8%. Okay, so obviously that has changed a lot, okay?
Right.
And we've got, you know, a huge growth in the Hispanic population here on Hilton Head, right? So I'm a firm believer that in order for us to be a true community, we have to listen to all voices, okay? And as you listen, you also have to make opportunities for those voices to be a part of the conversation, okay? And that's something that since I've been elected, I've really been harping on, okay? You know, the town of Hilton Head, we all as elected officials are making the final decision, but it's the community, it's those that we've appointed to boards and commissions that are helping us make those decisions through their recommendations, okay? And, you know, I've said it many times to the former mayor and the current mayor, we have to be inclusive. You know, our boards and commissions don't always represent the way our community looks, okay?
Correct.
And we have to be intentional about making sure that they do, okay? So, you know, those are sort of policy initiatives that I'm pushing on, okay? And I will continue to push on. I remember when I was first elected, I asked, how is the Hispanic community supposed to understand what's going on in town hall if nothing's translated into Spanish?
Correct.
Okay,
Yes,
and
sir.
they did it. Okay, and it was simply because I brought it to their attention, right? So we have to make sure that we're having a two-way line of communication. All right,
Correct.
We're listening. Okay, we're allowing the engagement piece, and then we're communicating back what the results are.
Bueno, pues miren qué importante información. Crece aquí en Hilton Head Island, por supuesto, encuentra la pasión, porque la pregunta que le hicimos fue ¿cuál o cuándo nace esa pasión, ¿no? Entonces él dice, bueno, he vivido cosas buenas, he vivido cosas malas, pero he visto que a lo largo de los años, pues faltaba una representación y sobre todo inclusividad, porque hoy nuestra comunidad afroamericana, que era la principal aquí en la isla de Hilton Head, ahora solamente representa el 8%. Y al contrario, hay una gran nueva comunidad hispana y adicionalmente, pues por supuesto, la inversión y muchas personas que han llegado aquí a Hilton Head de todas partes del mundo, pero fundamentalmente de diferentes partes de Estados Unidos. Y hoy, por supuesto, trabajos como él dice, el town de Hilton Head, como la alcaldía, llegaba alguien y no encontraba nada en español. Un trabajo que se ha hecho es lograr esas herramientas. Y adicionalmente a que el board es lo que digamos, la mesa directiva, esa mesa directiva que realmente esté representada por las caras que viven en la comunidad. So, no, really, really interesting work. So, you were elected for Ward 1. So, the island is divided in 6 wards, correct?
Correct.
What is the period? For how many years?
4 years.
4 years.
Yep.
And now you're running for re-election.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, yeah. And what are the new challenge that you see?
Yeah, well, let me just give an example, Camilo, of one of the things that we were able to accomplish in the last 4 years. Okay, and you would think that this would be something that's not that big of a deal, but it really is. Okay, in the historic neighborhoods is where the majority of the Hispanic population resides, okay? And many years ago, we started this initiative to get everybody connected to safe and sanitary sewer, okay? We wanted to get away from septic tanks because that is a health hazard, okay? No one needs to be connected to a septic tank, especially here on Hilton Head, all right? So the town and the PSD worked together to bring in the main lines to get folks hooked up to sewer, all right? But it was still a challenge because you had to hook your home up to that main line,
right,
which was a cost involved in that, okay? And the Community Foundation of Low Country had a program where folks could apply for assistance to get that done. And they raised a lot of money and they got a lot of the work done, but there was still a segment of the community that could not take advantage of that assistance program because the folks that were looking to connect had to own and live at the property. And in many cases, that was not the scenario, okay? Because there were folks living on the property, but they did not own the property, okay? So what we did as a town is took advantage of some federal funding that came down through an executive order. And we said, well, we're going to take a portion of that money and we're going to put it towards sanitary sewer connections, okay? And we're not going to have that stipulation where you have to own and live. We're only going to say you have to live there.
Right.
Okay. So that program has been alive and well. Deep Well is who administers the program for us, and we've seen a lot of folks that have been applying. The funding has been granted, and we now have more people hooked up to the sanitary sewer. Okay. And to me, that's a big deal because we're talking about our health and our well-being.
That's
here,
right.
Right. Yeah. So I just encourage folks, if you're still on septic,
right,
reach out to Deep Well and ask for assistance so we can get everybody in these historic neighborhoods that are not connected to sewer currently connected.
Oh, very, very important. Miren, algo, por ejemplo, un proyecto, él ha sido representante hoy de lo que es el Ward 1. La isla tiene 6 divisiones que se llaman Ward. Y hoy representa la número 1. Por supuesto, está proyectado a ser reelegido, está en su campaña para ser reelegido, y nos dice, uno de los digamos, desafíos más importantes ha sido que tenemos propiedad, pero resulta que muchas de esas propiedades tienen su pozo séptico y no están conectadas, digamos, al desagüe de aguas del sistema que se ha creado en la isla. Entonces, para poder conectar las casas, las propiedades, eso tiene un valor. Entonces, a través de una ley federal, se logró tener acceso a unos recursos y que muchas de las personas pudieran acceder a esto. Pero había un requisito y era que debía ser propietario y vivir en la casa. Y por supuesto, pues hay mucha gente que renta una propiedad y no es el propietario y por ende, pues no tenía acceso a estos recursos. Pero ahorita se hizo el cambio, no importa, usted solamente debe vivir en esa propiedad, la propiedad se inscribe en el programa y puede tener acceso a esos fondos federales que le ayudan a conectar su casa a todo el sistema de desagüe y aguas negras de hoy de la isla de Hilton Head para eliminar los antiguos pozos sépticos que existían aquí, que es natural en lo que es el desarrollo de la construcción y en la parte urbana, ¿no?, de lo que es Hilton Head Island. Well, and also we know that one of the biggest challenge is to find quality of life, mainly for the workers.
Yeah.
There's an important program going on. What you can tell us about?
Yeah, well, I mean, let's start with housing, okay? You know, typically here on Hilton Head, it's very difficult to find housing, and when you do find it, it's expensive, okay? We tend to find people paying 50 to 60% of their income on housing, and you know, that's a burden, okay, because it forces people to have to make life choices, okay, between paying to have a roof over their house, over their head, or to have childcare or food or healthcare, right? So, you know, we've got housing initiatives underway at the town where we're going to be putting units on the ground where folks are going to be paying 30% of their income towards housing, okay, which leads to a better quality of life, okay. Some of the other, you know, initiatives around housing, you know, we need to look at childcare here on Hilton Head, okay. Too often, we don't have adequate childcare for those that are working, okay, and part of the reason is because the childcare business can't find people to work because they can't find places to live on Hilton Head. So it's sort of compiling atmosphere that we're dealing with here. But the town has put forth money in the current budget to deal with housing. Okay, we all know about the Chimney Cove situation, right? And the town has also started to work with organizations like Deep Well, Community Foundation of the Low Country, some local churches, so that we've got a displacement strategy in place if places like Chimney Cove turn over, new owners come in, and people have to leave, okay? We know for a fact that has happened before in Hilton Head and other developments, and most cases, folks leave that particular neighborhood and they don't come back. They leave the island, okay? And that's not good for us, okay, as an island, and it's not good for those that are being displaced. I mean, folks have made Hilton Head their home. The children are going to the local schools here. They have friends and family all in the area. They have made Hilton Head, you know, their place that they want to raise their family, and then like that, is gone. So, you know, we have to do several things. You know, one is make sure we have some type of displacement strategy in place, but also we've got to be more intentional about getting more units on the ground where people are paying a fair share of their income for housing.
Well, very important. So, algo súper importante también de lo que él hoy proyecta, digamos, a lo que será su reelección, es el trabajo que tiene que hacer la isla, sobre todo en temas, por ejemplo, lo primero, que es la dificultad para vivir con calidad de vida acá, que es supremamente costoso, como él dice, very expensive. Entonces ya hoy hay un proyecto para que se va a construir una serie de apartamentos, más de 600 unidades, donde las personas tendrán que pagar solamente el 30% de su income, es decir, de su ingreso que puedan demostrar, el 30% únicamente. Y por otra parte también el childcare o el cuidado de niños también es algo que se viene mejorando, y adicionalmente otra serie de proyectos que son supremamente importantes para el desarrollo y el buen vivir aquí de la isla y por supuesto lo que siempre manifiesta que las caras de todos se vean bien representadas. Well, no, Alex, it's a super interesting project what you have done. What is the main job you did before you become a leader of the community?
Oh yeah, well, my paying job is the way I say it.
Yeah.
I run a company called Camp Hilton Head. Okay, we are a retail organization here on Hilton Head. Been in business since 1981. We've got 5 retail stores here on Hilton Head. And my official title there is Vice President of Operations.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Amazing. Camp, what is the name?
Camp Hilton Head.
Camp Hilton Head. Oh, yeah, I have seen some of the really interesting.
Sure.
Sure, yeah. Ok, bueno, pues él dice como, y mi principal trabajo pues ha sido Camp Hilton Head, porque aquí es muy interesante que realmente en el sector público no se gana mucho, ¿sí? Pero uno mantiene, inclusive durante su época de trabajo, uno mantiene también su trabajo privado. That's something that is really interesting in the United States, that you can have a position in the public field, but you can keep your private work, right?
Yeah, sure.
That's something that is not common, for example, in Latin America.
Yeah. Well, since you're touching on that, I want to make sure that, there's a clear understanding as to how our town government works, okay? Like you mentioned, there's 6 districts, okay? There's one council person that represents each district, and the mayor is at large, okay? And the elected officials are operating in what we call a weak mayor form of government, okay? So we ought to set policy. The town manager, who is one of the only 2 employees that we actually have, is who's responsible for implementing. Okay, so at a policy level, it should not take as much time to set policy as it does to run the operations. Okay,
correct.
So the town manager is dealing with the day-to-day stuff. When the traffic lights go out, okay, the town manager is taking care of that, not Alex Brown. Okay, so there's a big difference as far as policymakers. Okay, so that's why it's more of a part-time commitment. Okay, and the pay is not good at all. So you have to have a job. In order to sustain yourself.
That's super interesting because I believe it's even difficult to understand to many people that for example, I used to work for the public field, and it's so different. If you go to public field, even it's like a saying, if you have a job outside.
Sure.
Ok, algo súper interesante es cómo está la administración aquí de Hilton Head y que sucede en muchas partes de Estados Unidos. Entonces, como se dice, hay una cosa que es la administración y otra cosa es quién crea la política del lugar. Entonces, él como nos explica, hay 6 distritos, esos 6 distritos tienen un representante y hay un alcalde. Entre los 6 representantes y el alcalde toman y deciden cuáles son las políticas para vivir en Hilton Head Island o en este lugar, en este territorio. ¿Cuáles son las políticas? Pero él dice, eso es un part-time job, eso es un trabajo no de tiempo completo, es un tiempo, digamos, un part-time. Por eso el pago no es muy grande y hay que mantener un trabajo o un desarrollo de una actividad privada. Entonces es muy interesante porque sin duda es distinto y diferente a lo que nosotros vivimos o conocemos, por ejemplo, en Latinoamérica de cómo se administra el sector público. Así que ya saben, bueno, muy interesante. So, now people is ready to vote. People is voting, taking decisions. We got the local administration that is really important, that you're running for Ward 1. Also, you guys are going to vote for the President of the United States, who's going to be the next guest of the White House. What we can tell the community?
Yeah, well, a couple things. Number one, prepare yourself before you show up to the polls, okay? You can go to scvotes.gov and pull out your sample ballot. I encourage everybody to do that as you're making your decisions. There are 3 questions on the ballot as well. One's from the state and 2 are from the county. And the county questions, you need to familiarize yourself with those, and the county's website has additional information on those questions. So I just make sure that everybody understands them before they go in to the polls. And when you're in the polls, because of early voting, you're not necessarily going to be in your precinct. So I would encourage folks to make sure that when they're registering, as they're checking in at the poll, and when they get into the voting box, make sure that you are receiving the correct ballot as well. Okay, and after you've done all of that, and if you're in Ward 1, vote for Alex Brown, of course. All right, but it's very important that we participate in this voting opportunity. It's a right that we all have, okay, and we should take it seriously, because your voice eventually will come through with those that you elect.
Correct.
Okay, and if you don't participate, then you don't have a voice.
Correct. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Bueno, fundamental, estamos en época electoral, precisamente la Isla Magazine. Aquí usted encuentra toda la información de lo que está pasando. Como dice Alex, inscriba su voto. Do you remember what's the website exactly where the people can...
scvotes.gov.
scvotes.gov.
Yep.
scvote.gov, de gobierno. Ahí pueden ustedes ingresar, hacer también, inscribirse y ir a votar tempranamente hasta el 2 de noviembre. Por supuesto, el 5 de noviembre es el último día. Vamos a saber cómo quedan las elecciones. Pero mire, es súper importante lo que dice hoy Alex, y es que si usted no participa, si usted no vota, su voz no está representada. Esa es la importancia del trabajo en la comunidad y la importancia de la política, que a veces muchas personas dicen que no les gusta la política. La política, hay una frase que dice, o nos metemos con la política o alguien termina haciendo la política por nosotros, y nosotros sí terminamos pagando impuestos y acoplándonos a otras voces que seguramente no son las que nosotros hemos elegido. Por esa razón es importante para usted participar. So no, thank you so much. It's really important for everyone to participate.
Yes.
Because it's true. If you vote for the person you decide, your voice will be heard. And of course, if you don't participate, others are going to do the policy for you.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
So thank you so much.
Thank you,
Alex.
Camilo.
Well,
It's good to see you.
thank you. And we're really glad to have you here in Flow con Florido.
Yeah.
That no matter what happens, we have to flow.
That's right.
That's all right.
That's right.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
All right. Muchas gracias a todos. Y sigan y quédense acá, siempre analizando. Y Flow con Florido. Pase lo que pase, tenemos que fluir. Flow con Florido. No matter what happens, we have to flow. Chao, chao.